In this video, I'm gonna be doing a live appointment setting call review for one of our Remote Closing Academy students. They sent this call into me. They said, hey, Aaron, can you give me some feedback? How can I get better at being an appointment setter? And I was like, is it cool if I record it? And he's like, yes. So let's jump right in.
Hello?
Hi, is this?
Yes, it is.
Hi, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. By the way, really love your name. Where is it from?
Thank you, Belarus, actually.
Belarus? Wow, I love it. Yeah, I saw you responded for ads about. Does that ring a bell?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Well,
Okay, so first things first, doing pretty good, right? Trying to build a little bit of rapport. Hey, love your name, that type of thing. The biggest mistake that I think people make when it comes to building rapport is they think that it has to be this like big thing of, oh, we have to like be from the same place or like the same football team or whatever it may be. But really all rapport does, like you build rapport when you can fix a problem for somebody else, right? So, and that is done throughout the call. So you never want to feel like too pressured to have to build all this crazy amount of rapport at the beginning of the call.
you know usually how these calls works. Personally, what I find works best is basically I ask some questions, right? Get some context, see where you're at. And from there, I just want to point you to the right person, right? Get you the right information, go from there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. So tell me, what was the first thing that...
So just to add some context here as well, if you haven't watched my full appointment setting course video, it's like 30 to 45 minutes long, definitely go check that out. I'll leave it down in the description. We'll put a card up on screen as well, because just watching this and not understanding the script, like the exact script that he's using is the one that I gave you guys on that free course video. So maybe go back to that video, check that out, grab the script because I put it in the description of that video. And then you can almost follow along of exactly how he's conducting this call.
caught your attention when you saw the ad?
Yeah, I really liked how I don't have any experience in sales, but he was mentioning that even if you don't have experience, you can make up to 10K a month, which is, I don't know how that's possible, but this would be really cool. So I was just curious to get more information.
Of course, yeah, for sure, I get that. And so what is it that you do for work?
Okay, one thing that I would have done here is the idea of the appointment setting call is you want to build enough pain in order to get them on the setting call. Again, I'm leaving out some pieces of context, but the appointment setting call, essentially what happens is they come from an ad. This person that he's talking to came from an ad, is now on the call with him on the appointment setting call. And his goal is to set them for the closer, right? The remote closer, for them to go and close down the deal. So the goal of the appointment setting call is not to sell the offer, right? It is not to sell the thing that they are on the call for. The purpose of the appointment setting call is just to sell the next phone call. So what that usually comes with is number one, not talking too much. Number two, not giving too much away. Number three, not going too deep into anything. But the main things that you're trying to sniff out on the appointment setting call is number one, what's the pain? And number two, is there any doubt as to why they wouldn't jump on the next call? So one thing I would have done here is she blatantly said, I just don't see how it's possible to make X amount of dollars by doing this. So I would have jumped in a little bit more and said, hey, like, I'm just curious, why the doubt there? You know, just tell me more about that. And then you can start to figure out why that is. And I could almost guarantee, and this is for pretty much anyone, is that limiting belief is based on their past experiences or their experiences in general. They just haven't seen somebody being able to make X amount of dollars by just, you know, taking phone calls for people, if that makes sense.
Right now, I'm actually an appointment setter for solar.
Okay, cool. And how long have you been doing that for?
For about 3 months now.
Okay, 3 months. So you already have some sort of, like, I guess, interest in experience in the industry. Like, what made you like kind of wanting to take the next step?
Yeah, so I do door-to-door with my husband.
So a better question, because she's looking for a different thing to do, right? So a better question for this would be, hey, I'm just curious, what makes you want to not do that anymore and do this thing instead? Because you're trying to build up that pain of why they're not doing that thing. So this is an okay question because it's probably going to get somewhat of the same answer, but more importantly, you're just trying to figure out like, why are they trying to get away from that thing? Because they're in that pain, right? Pain, if there is no pain, there is no sale. Or in this case, set.
To be honest, just the drives, it's a great opportunity. You can make really, really good money. He's actually been in door-to-door for more than 10 years. So I see that there is a huge potential, but the thing is, it's very tiring for me being constantly on the road, and I would like to find something that's virtual that I travel a lot as well.
Okay, so basically the pain is they don't want to drive around.
To see my family in different countries, so I would love to have an opportunity where I go travel and I still able to make money, even if I'm there with my family. So
yeah, for sure.
One thing that I'm noticing that he's not doing though is taking notes. And what I'm doing on every single appointment setting closing call is it's not on my desk right now, but I have a sheet. Actually, let me grab it. Well, actually, I just have a notebook. And in this notebook, I just will write down everything. I like doing handwritten notes. I feel like I take it in a lot better, and I'm not like sitting here typing and these background typing noises. It just, pen to paper always works better for me. But what I'm doing when I'm writing down these things is I'm writing down pain, writing down different things that they're telling me, so that when I come to the end of the call, I can put all that information back in front of them. And then number one, they understand that I'm listening. Number two is I just put their words back in front of them if any sort of objection comes up to where they don't want to jump on the next call.
And so you're talking about how you drive a lot, like, and I'm sure like whenever we drive, there's always that risk factor. Like, what are some risks you're feeling when it comes to doing door-to-door with the solar industry?
Yeah, I actually enjoy doing it because I just love spending time with my husband, and that's the only time we can actually spend together. So it's a lot of fun.
So that's another thing I'd write down, right? The reason that, or one of the main reasons she likes doing her solar appointment setting job is because she gets to spend time with them, right?
I think it's pretty good short term, but I'm looking for something that would be long term, that I could actually do it by myself, and to just do it virtually. So
Right.
You have to always drive further, so it takes about 2 hours one way, so it's just gets tiring.
For sure. So something more sustainable and long lasting.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. And so you're mentioning how, you're doing a lot of driving and stuff like that. In terms of like doing the actual door to door, like, do you like it?
One thing I would have done, actually, let me hear what he says here.
Yeah, I like door to door.
Okay.
I think it's fun. I love talking to people. I love walking, and we walk a lot. Just doing it together with my husband, I do learn a lot from him as well, and it's definitely a great experience for right now.
Right, for sure. Now, I've heard in the past, and I've personally done door to door, but I've heard from.
Okay, so it didn't sound like he was going to go into it. I was giving him a chance to catch this, but a huge part, like, she's 2 times at this point, she's talked about she gets the gratification of doing this because she gets to spend time with her husband. So 2 things I would figure out. Well, I guess one main thing is I would have asked, hey, so, you've mentioned doing this with your husband. Is this something, right, this opportunity that we're talking about right now, is this something that he's going to want to jump into as well? Because number one is that's another client, right, to bring on for the specific offer that he's selling. And then number 2, what he's going to do is get ahead of the support objection. It's the classic, I need to talk to my wife, I need to talk to my husband, need to talk to my business partner, is once he starts to include him on the conversation, or, him being the husband, is now there's just more ammo to play with, right? And also get a little bit deeper into like, hey, because again, she loves spending time with her husband. So if she was doing it by herself, right, this new opportunity, she wouldn't be able to spend time with the husband. So what's happening is what's being taken away is something that she enjoys. So there's a lot of like things that I'm thinking about as I'm listening to this call.
A lot of people in the industry that it's one of, if not the hardest way of selling. Like, how do you feel about that?
I think the hardest part about it is just facing rejections. But I was really kind of working with my first month, getting a lot of no's in your face. So, but then when you realize that sales is just a number game, it's whatever. So you just move to the next. So,
Right, for sure. And so, while you're trying to find a new opportunity, like, have you tried looking into anything else in the meantime?
yeah, I have. I looked into e-commerce, into drop shipping, into what else I looked at. Managing Airbnbs. That was really it.
All right, so I'm gonna pop quiz him because the next question should be, why are you wanting to have this conversation with me versus those other things? And have you tried those other things? And why don't you want to do those? Because what's happening based on those questions is he needs to build doubt around why all those things are not the way to go, and why this opportunity that they're talking about and why she's on this conversation is the best way. So let's see if he handles it right.
And how did those like business fields go?
Yeah, actually, I've invested into dropshipping course, but then what happened? The guy that was supposed to teach me, he was teaching me a couple of times, and then he just disappeared. So, and then after that, it was really tough because in dropshipping you have to do so many things, right? From like finding the product, the inventory, just creating the website, brand, social medias, ads, fulfilling everything.
She's spitting right now. She already knows. She's like, yeah, I don't want to do that dropshipping thing. So by the way, if you're thinking about dropshipping, don't do it.
Yourself. So it got really tough, and then I didn't have any support from him anymore, and I just kind of dropped it. I didn't pursue it any longer.
Dang. Wow, so sorry to hear. Like, how did you feel like when did that happen?
Yeah, that was really upsetting because we paid money and we couldn't get.
So one thing that I'm noticing too, and this just comes with a lot of newer appointment setters, is the tonality just feels off, right? Like, just the way that he said that, he's like, so how did that make you feel, right? It just seems kind of canned. And also sorry isn't really a word that like, I try to keep sorry out of my vocabulary, because sorry, a lot of the times, like it starts to create negative emotions. So instead of sorry, you can say, hey, I appreciate the transparency there. And it kind of elicits the same emotion, but you don't want to like introduce negative, if that makes sense. It's more neutral than negative.
Money back.
Right, for sure. And so let's do a bit of a switch here. So like, do you have like, actually, can I ask you a personal question first of all?
Yeah.
So
that's a great transition. When you say, hey, can I ask you a personal question? What you're doing is you're asking permission, and then you're asking permission to ask that personal question, which presupposes that you are going to get a personal answer. And sometimes people are a little bit weird, especially being like the first call, right? Is like sometimes it's a little hairy to ask. That's a weird word. A little sketchy to ask those personal questions. So when you say, hey, can I ask you a personal question? It kind of cuts the awkwardness, if you will.
You mentioned like you work with your husband, right, in the solar industry, doing door to door. Like, how much are you making like a month or even together?
Yeah. The part that I'm making is about actually 5K a month.
Mm-hmm. And then together, is it like double that or around that?
It's much more than that because I'm doing the actual like sales part.
Mm-hmm.
So I get 20%, which is 5K.
Okay, great. Oh, that's awesome. And like, other than your husband, like, do you support like anyone else?
Okay, this is a really small thing, but with this, right, is especially with someone that's doing, they're making 5K a month and, much more than that based on, her and her husband, is if you want to sell them on your thing, is you can't hype them up, right? We don't want them to feel like they're doing good, even though they might be, right? Because like 5K a month is decent, right? It's decent for most people, but we don't want them to know that. We just got to say, okay, gotcha. Very blatant, like very bland. No, like, hey, awesome. Oh, that's great. Because they think that they're doing well, right? And we want to sell them that this is going to help them do way more.
No, just me.
Just you and your husband. Great, awesome. And so essentially, like, not like obviously watching the video you're mentioning, like 10K and stuff like that. Like, do you have any sort of like financial goals in mind, like after watching the video about the remote closing industry?
Yeah, I think 5K a month is pretty good. I would love to get up to 8 to possibly in the future even 10. Of course, I have to be realistic because I don't have much experience in sales yet. And if I could make that amount from being able to work virtually, that would be awesome.
Right, for sure. And is this something like you would see yourself doing with your husband, like in the future, like being part of the remote closing industry together?
I don't think it's his kind of goal to work in the remote space yet. He just has some other stuff going on right now. So it's just
right. More so like a wait and see, like how you'll do and figure it out. Okay, gotcha. Do you also have like any sort of like non-monetary goals as well?
So he did ask the question, right? He said, hey, is your husband like going to jump on this at all? The only question that he missed though is because they're in this spot where they're already talking about the husband, she or he needs to go in and be like, hey, does your husband know you're on this call? Or maybe not, maybe that wouldn't be the best way, but it would be like, hey, is your husband like open to this industry? Has he learned about it? Like, is he open to you having the conversation of jumping into this industry? Because that's going to give you an idea of, am I going to get a spouse objection? And do I need to get the husband on the closing call with the closer so that he has the full spectrum as well? Or if she's just like, no, this is something I do by myself. I don't need him to be on the decision. And that's fine too. You just got to figure out if there is going to be an objection that comes up down the road.
Definitely want to travel more. I love traveling, just help financially my family, that's for sure. Just be able to give and invest in. I have some music projects on the side, so I would love to invest money in that as well.
Awesome. And like the music aspect, and I love that personally because I also make music. Like why is that so important to you to invest in that?
Yeah, because I think it's
a good question. Understanding, because it's one thing for money. It's another thing for what the money gets the person. So if you can figure out what they are like stoked about, that's what's going to help them make the decision of, hey, I do want to do this because I'm going to make money, but it's also going to allow me to, do better at my music career.
It's if you see you have a talent, you can't just not do anything about it. So if you have a talent, if it just comes out so naturally and people notice it, and I think it's something that, God gave you and you have to do something with it. At least something, so.
Wow, I love that. And so with all that being considered, like, are you saying that if you stay in the solar industry doing door to door, you won't get to where you want to be, not only financially, but also like time wise, right? Risk and all that stuff?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't get there.
Right. And that's why it's becoming more of a priority to make a change now.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Gotcha. Well, do you mind if I share a few thoughts here?
Sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for just being open and honest about your situation here. I really do appreciate it, just your will of like and drive when it comes to door sales. I know personally, I'm a bit biased, but I know personally how hard it is. And just, having that drive and almost like just seeing you like almost being unfazed about rejection and just kind of having fun with it. And I know with a lot of people it's the opposite. That makes it a huge, like that's a huge green flag, huge indicator that you're a great fit in this industry. And you, like you see in the video, there's a lot of people that come in, they don't have experience, which I mean, in your case, you do technically. But I think the fact that if you kind of have that mindset of just being coachable, right? Wanting to learn, you're hungry, you're driven, there's no guaranteed money, there's no guaranteed job, but the people that attain the money, the people that get the best jobs and the best opportunities are also the people who have those qualities.
It's a good kind of like retraction. So I'm a little iffy on like the whole like hyping up thing, because back to what I talked about earlier is like, if you hype them up too much and it's like, you have work ethic, you have drive, you have this, you have that, at the end, they're like, well, I'm good. You know what I mean?
I've seen you, so I doubt if you...
Oh, so the retraction part is he said, I can't guarantee any money or jobs or anything like that. That's good because technically you're not allowed to do that. Like it's illegal for the most part when you like try to guarantee people specific things. Like it's not kosher.
You're not going to crush it. I can see you crushing it for sure. And hopefully you'll crush it so much that, your husband will be able to say, hey, you know what? My wife is killing it. Maybe this is good for me, and see from there. So anyways, with that being said, like, is that something you can see yourself doing?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, for sure. Well, what I recommend here is just, if you're like interested, you want to get the ball rolling, let's just book a call ASAP. And again, just figure out the next steps from there. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. So it goes to more like personal stuff of like emails and phone numbers and things like that. So dude, overall, I mean, if you're watching this, overall, really good job. Just a couple things that you could iron in there. Anyone that's watching this outside looking in is definitely go back to the appointment setting video because he followed the script pretty much on point. Again, I mentioned this at the beginning. The biggest thing that you got to get from these calls is their pain, their doubt. I mean, I've talked about the 7 beliefs a prospect needs to have to buy and many other videos. You don't need to get all of them on the appointment setting call, but like the pain and the doubt, and then figuring out like where are they right now, where do they want to be, what's currently holding them back, and then the pain and the doubt. Those will usually give you a pretty good idea of getting them to sell, selling them on the next appointment. There wasn't any objections of like, no, I don't want to like jump to the next call. The thing is when people get on these calls, right, the person on the other end, the prospect, is they've already gone through some sort of ad, they've already watched some sort of video, so they're like ready to go, right? They're ready to go, they're primed, they were expecting the call in the first place, they're on Zoom, so they already want the thing. You just gotta like have a basic conversation and just get them talking a little bit and figuring out, is this gonna be a good fit for them? So I'll just end it on there is if you want to become an appointment setter, like it is a very, very streamlined and simple job because these people already want to talk to you. So all you need to do is learn the script, learn the offer, learn basic objection handling, and you should be good to go. So that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments. If you do like this, I have a ton of these calls that we can do reviews on. So if you enjoy this, definitely let me know down in the comments. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, and click the video on screen. It's going to bring you over to the appointment setting video that I talked about multiple times. Definitely check that out to see the next steps of how to become an appointment setter.